Hey, Mike Mata here. We are going to show you how to get your GigaStor software edition up and running. And again, this works for the 256 gig all the way up to, whatever the max is that you've got, a 1T, 4T, 8T, 16T, 64T, whatever software edition. This is the steps you got to do to get things going. So the first step is the first step is obviously install the software and license it. I'm not going to take you through that. Hopefully you know how to license the software. If not, that's under File, Info there, License your software, License Observer, get your GigaStor license on there, and that's the first step. I presume you've already done that. So our next step then is to go down to Options. And we're going to go to General Options. And this is based on the new, latest and greatest 17.3 Observer software released, I believe, July 1st-ish time frame. So we're going to talk about right here, folders. This first step here is if you're going to load your operating system on, let's say, drive C, but you want your GigaStor data to be on a different drive, then this is where you would tell it you want it to be on D or E or wherever you want to store your GigaStor data. You've got to tell Observer that that's someplace other than drive C. So that's your first step. I'm going to leave mine on drive C, but if you had drive D, you would just click the little button and then tell it, where you want to go, point to whatever drive D, etc., and it will do that. Next, so we've got that. Our next thing is to go into configuring the storage. So we're going to go to Setup, Memory, and Security Administration. And under GigaStor instances here, there is Configure Instance Storage. Now, I have already done it on mine, but that's your first step, is to go in, and it will tell you have 0 disk space reserved at this time. And then you'll want to click the up arrow. You can't type it in. You've just got to click the up arrow until you put in whatever, 256, 512, 1T, 8T, however many T, whatever. I'm just doing 128 gig just to show you. And there we go. So once you've got that configured, there's how much disk space your GigaStor will use. We then go over to reserve memory. You want to make sure you've reserved some memory. Now, I didn't reserve a lot, but typically, I don't know what's the right ratio for GigaStor software, but obviously the more memory, the better. So the beefier box that you have, obviously your Windows OS needs some resources, so we don't want to reserve it all. But the more that we can give to GigaStor and Observer, the better. So, okay, GigaStor instances now. We have one active instance. That's the instance sort of that comes and that's going to write data to the disk. If you're going to use a Observer console to communicate as well, then we can create a passive instance simply by saying new instance, and we'll just call this passive instance 2. If I could type, we would. Passive number 2, and next. And typically we want to, again, not that you need to do any GigaStor packet there, that could be 0 because we're not really going to do any packet capture off of this. This is just for data mining purposes only. And we typically want to bind this to the non-capture instance of your box, non-capture NIC. So hopefully your GigaStor has 2 NICs in it, one that it's going to capture from and that doesn't need an IP address, and the second one that you're going to use to communicate with from the console. Again, if you're going to run a console and communicate remotely. So that is the beauty. GigaStor can run in both modes, Expert Observer mode or Probe mode, where you have a console that communicates with it remotely. So I've just basically set that capability up here. I have a second instance just for remote connectivity. I click OK here, And we now have our local instance and a passive instance. Now on my local instance, I click on the GigaStor control panel, the GigaStor. That fires up our GigaStor control panel. And if we click Update Chart, and let's go to Start. So we should start seeing packets. It would probably help if I have something connected here to see packets. So we might start seeing packets here. Update the chart. We got no filters going. So there we go. That's basically starting your GigaStor, building your GigaStor software, making it work. Then obviously at this point you need to span a port from your switch or take data out of a tap and start feeding your GigaStor with it. We can go to summary and we can actually see there are some packets there being captured. So not a lot yet. They chart and we can see there are the packets being brought into the GigaStor at this point in time. Again, to actually look at those, it's a matter of dragging the sliders over, clicking Update Reports. That populates these tabs across here, and we can see the IP stations, etc., that are communicating. And click on one of these and click Analyze, and we can now see the data. Now, I tend to like this display the filter, choose Expert Analysis and Decode, and remember that so I don't have to do this every time. Click OK. It shows me the filter that I'm going to apply, so I'm going to just look for this one particular IP address. Just want to make sure I see the data, and voila, there it is. It pulls the data out of the GigaStor that I just built. So hope that was meaningful to you. Those of you that got the demo license from our last Lunch and Learn, that was what prompted this video, to help you if you have problems. If you still have problems after watching the video, please give me a call and we will walk you through how to get your GigaStor software up and running. Thanks. Make it a great day.